Zachary, as always, and today I am reviewing the movie Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. This movie was released in 2005, and well, there's quite a bit to talk about with this movie because it concluded the prequel trilogy, and to be honest, I think this is the best movie in the prequel trilogy. And I have other opinions about Revenge of the Sith that might be a little bit of a hot take, but I'll talk about those at the end of the video. So there's so much to talk about here. For one, this movie definitely does take a darker turn than the other movies, in which it does need to do this, because from Attack of the Clones coming over to here, there is an extreme tonal shift, which I think definitely needed to happen because without that tonal shift, if it was a movie just like Attack of the Clones, then this story really wouldn't work. It needed to have a shift of tone because it needed to show the rise of the Empire, the death of the Republic, and Anakin Skywalker being reborn as Darth Vader or Lord Vader, depending on who you are. But yeah, so they really need to do this. And I'm really happy they introduced this character. General Grievous is a character I'm really happy they introduced into this film because he is such a huge part of why I got into Star Wars, and for a long time then, he was my most favorite character of the entire Star Wars franchise and everything. And actually, he's actually one of the first new character that we meet. We meet General Grievous on his ship, and guess what he did? Oh, he captured Chancellor Palpatine. Oh man. But then Count Dooku shows up, but then he kind of just dies really easily. It's actually I know this, but it's I'm not even trying to be funny here. It was not an inconvenience to attack him. Yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi was easily defeated, but really, honestly, it's either Anakin has gotten a lot better in terms of skill with his lightsaber, or Count Dooku has gotten worse. Because, I don't know, I feel like he's defeated a lot easier than he was in the other one. And in the other one, he wasn't defeated, so it just serves the plot. Anyways, he kind of just dies. And they free Palpatine, they get off the ship. General Grievous escapes, so we can get this epic fight between Grievous and Kenobi later, which we will talk about. And something else we need to mention here, and something that does get brought up as soon as they get off of General Grievous' ship and free Palpatine, is what's been happening between Padme and Anakin. Well, some things have been changing, and well, they have a kid now that's going to be born. And if you know that, and if you've watched Empire Strikes Back, you know Luke Skywalker and Leia Skywalker. And, well, we'll talk about that later. There's a lot of things I want to talk about later because a lot of stuff happens later in the film. So, I don't know. Next thing I want to go to is the fight between General Grievous and Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I actually really did enjoy. I know some people thought it was overwhelming. Maybe this wasn't that good. I enjoyed it for what it was. But I can understand why not as many people would like it. But I don't know. Maybe it's just my bias with the General Grievous character. But I enjoyed this one. He basically just they have a lightsaber fight. All four of his hands get slowly chopped off, and the robot Hands YouTube. Anyways, so they eventually fight. Obi-Wan Kenobi uses a blaster and shoots at his core, basically right in the middle of him, and well, he just explodes, and it's kind of cool. It's a cool VFX. I mean, this whole movie is pretty good VFX, but anyways, yeah. So something else we need to mention is how Palpatine manipulates Anakin, and how it's brought to fruition here, because we know, in the first one, in the Phantom Menace, he's like, "Yo, Anakin, you're pretty cool," and then in the second one, he's talking to him he's breaking to, and they have a new relationship where it's on an emotional level. And here we're seeing their actual relationship come to fruition, where Palpatine's in a position is like, "Yeah, I got this, man," and he basically doesn't have to try super hard for everything to go in his plan. Obviously, it does, because this is going to lead into the original trilogy eventually. Anyways, something we also did get is a nice fight between the Jedi and Palpatine once they figured out, that Palpatine was a Sith Lord. They're like Mace Windu's in there gathering all these Jedi, and we're gonna mess him up. But actually, you might be surprised, but the 3 Jedi, the 2 here, the other one over there, yeah, they're all defeated in less than a minute. They're defeated in a minute at most. But it's kind of just better that way, so they can focus on Mace Windu and Palpatine. And eventually, this is a really important scene. So eventually they're fighting, and they're in his room, his red room, and the giant glass behind his desk just shatters, and Palpatine tries to force lightning Mace Windu, but it propels from the lightsaber back onto Palpatine, and then it makes his face get all disfigured, and that's how we got his disfigured face. But you might be asking, how did Mace Windu actually get defeated? Who stopped him? That would be Anakin Skywalker. You see, Anakin was like, "You know what? I don't like Mace Windu very much." So he just cuts off his hand, and then Emperor Palpatine's like, "Ultimate power, la la la," and Mace Windu's dead. We haven't actually had a confirmation that he's dead. We also don't have a confirmation that he's still alive. And even if he is still alive, the odds of him if he even survived that, he would have passed away from old age by the time of the sequels. Probably before then, actually. Probably more by the time the second Death Star exploded. That'd probably be it for him. But anyways, so now Anakin is in Palpatine's grip, and Palpatine gives the famous order, execute Order 66. Yes, we all know it. There's been t-shirts, hats, and all sorts of merchandise made off of off of that single line, or off of that single command, execute Order 66. Anyways, so Anakin Skywalker is like, "You know what? I'm evil now." So he grabs his lightsaber, he gets his 501st, and they just completely wreck the Jedi Temple. And if you've seen the movie, you know, Anakin. Well, let's just say he didn't like the younglings very much. Let's just say he had some lightsaber practice with the younglings. Never mind. He absolutely wrecked the younglings. Let's just put it like that. So now, this leads to a fight where Padme this leads to a fight to where it's now Kenobi has followed Anakin to Mustafar because Anakin went to Mustafar following this. But Yoda is going to confront Palpatine, so they're constantly they're constantly cutting between a fight on Mustafar and a fight in Coruscant, which I think are both pretty nice. And I understand why they had to do that on a time crunch. And I think they cut it pretty well for what it was, but I would like to see like a take where they were separated. Because then it kind of takes you out of one of them, because it's really only hard to you can only really get involved in one of them while watching. I mean, I thought both of them were great, but it was they just had to cut between them. But I think the choreography was amazing between Anakin and Obi-Wan, because they fight like their combat is so fast. And a lot of people say that this sucks, it was choreographed on. I think this actually shows more about the relationship between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, because it shows they know each other so well. They know each other so well to the extent that they know what each other is going to do before they even do it. That's why they're fighting and combating so fast. And that basically ties that off. And eventually, we all know that Anakin's defeated. Because Kenobi had the high ground. And over on the Yoda and Palpatine side of things, we are seeing their duel, and they're fighting in the Senate area with all the little spinny disc things that just kind of come out from the wall. And they kind of just float there. The thing where the Easter... Yeah. So, Yoda's defeated. Palpatine has risen to power. And then we all remember the infamous no scene. And we see Darth Vader. We see Anakin becoming Darth Vader and we get to see... Actually, no, it's actually kind of an interesting sequence, actually, because then we're splitting up... then we're splitting up again, because then we have Padme giving birth while it's cutting to Anakin becoming Darth Vader. And it's kind of an interesting, but also, it's like a bittersweet sequence, because the bitter part is we get to see the rise of the Empire, and it's kind of just like this sad, the fall of the Republic and all that. But it's the part that makes it sweet is that we know what's coming next with Luke Skywalker being born, Leia, and the original trilogy coming next. And so yeah, guys, Revenge of the Sith. And now, the hot take I was going to tell you about earlier. This is in my top 3 most favorite Star Wars movies. So, out of the technically 9 Star Wars movies, but I only consider there to be 6. I didn't really care for the sequel trilogy, but... So, out of the 9, my top 3 Star Wars movies is at number... My top 3 is at number 3, Revenge of the Sith. At number 2, Empire Strikes Back. And at number 1, A New Hope. So yeah, guys, I just wanted to talk about Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. If you all enjoyed this video or any of my other content, please